Good afternoon. Oh my god! Holy shit! I can't believe it! You know, this is my dream. I have always wanted to pretend like a 9-to-5 corpo worker.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Hi, Stanley.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
427.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Good job,
Orders
Stanley.
came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what
He could
employee
calculate
427 did
milliseconds?
every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Good for him.
And Stanley was happy.
We need people like that in the world. We really do.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say
What happened
hi.
to everybody?
Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Yeah, so what?
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
Okay.
just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth
I
admiring.
feel like I did it just
had
because
really
I
been
could.
worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
Coffee machine.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room.
He's
Room
pissed.
so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really, but eager to get back to business,
yeah.
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I don't trust the narrator. Can I die?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong
Wait,
foot.
ah!
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do,
Yeah.
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. Mr. Memo.
Mildly embarrassing. The game knew exactly what I was trying to do.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he
I'll
entered
be-
the door on his left.
I'll be good this time. I'll be good. Do we go up or
Coming
down?
to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Down here. Whoa. Oh, just the garage. Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
Yes, sir.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
No, sir. Wait, what was the number? Oh boy. Anon!
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I would not behave this way if I wasn't a video game character. I promise you, I would be a better person in every other instance. But alas, here I am not.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched
Wait.
closer and closer to his demise, he
Wait.
reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley
Wait.
couldn't see the bigger picture. He doesn't
Wait, I didn't know it would be that
trapped
purposeful.
forever in his narrow vision of what this world is.
I thought it would
Perhaps
just
his
be a
death
fault.
was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly
I'm
accepted
sorry! I'm sorry, I won't be curious again!
Farewell, Stanley.
Ah!
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
What?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
What is going on? Fun! Someone's watching YouTube while on the job. That's a call out for every single one of you who's watching me on office time. We designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention.
Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
I'm sorry.
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy.
I'm sorry,
So he
I'll get a
relaxed
counselor.
for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else
Stanley
got?
walked straight ahead through the large door
Ignore
that
the
read
escape.
Mind Control Facility.
We're gonna find out what our employer has been doing to us. Rap.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
It looks
Stanley
like that
thought to
room
himself.
from The
Did he
Incredibles.
have the strength to find out?
Yes. Are you ready?
Now the monitors jumped to life.
Fired!
Their true nature revealed.
Fired.
Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his
Oh,
emotions
no.
had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
Surely
It was
not.
unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
This is depressing. This is really depressing.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold
crazy.
reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
We'll free ourselves from the shackles of capitalism. Actually, I'm kidding. How do we get free? Where do I go? Oh, here we are. Mind controls, idle, awaiting input.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
We're the good guys. Now what?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
Ooh.
Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
Wow.
This was exactly the way, right now,
Wow.
that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Why is there a plane outside? Stop flying. Wait, I beat the Stanley Parable. Wait,